Okay. I hmm. Mm, let me see how we get this done. I'm trying out StreamYard for the first time, so um, it's interesting. It's new. Definitely not what I'm accustomed to. So bear with me for 2 seconds. All right. Um. Okay. So let's see how this is gonna go. I hope I see my comments. Like I said, I just decided on a whim to start with this. I'm gonna try. It's cute though. I like it. We've been pending a move to StreamYard for quite some time. Also I'm not in my office, obviously, hence the blurred background. Because I didn't didn't really want to go there today. Just wanted to kind of test this out at home with the new setup, new camera and everything. So let's just dive into it. Yeah, I think I'm also a little blurry because of the background blur. But we'll see how that works out. We'll see how that works out. This is interesting. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna start off because you can hear me and that's the most important thing. And I know people wanna hey, the cat is also here with me. So hey, that's gonna feature in this stream a bit. But yeah, let's get it going. Today I have a cup of coffee, my coffee fact of the day, which is also an environmental tip of the day. Um, did you know that drip coffee machines, so what you grew up with your parents and such, have become less prevalent over the past 5 years, and that actually the single cup machines are used 50% more than they were in 2015. But what does that mean for the environment? Usually, very bad news because you have to use one single pod every time you want to make one cup of coffee. And if you're a person that drinks 4 to 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day, you know already what kind of what your waste basket is going to look like. So what you can do though is you get a Keurig machine or an espresso. They have reusable filter cups that allow you to then choose whatever coffee you would like to have. So if you've got a bag of Death Wish, which I have right now and what I'm drinking now, or another option, you can use that instead of having to rely on having the necessary K cups. This is Cassian. Yes, yes, premiering on the live. You can use that instead of having to get a necessary K cup to get your coffee fix. And it's also better for the environment, as I said, because then you're not using 50 single serve coffee pods per day with plastic parts that then head to your trash can and then head to the dump. So this last week, what a week it was. What a week it was. So we had first as an update on the questions that I mentioned previously on the live that I sent to both Minjas and Minteat. They informed me, both of them, that the answers to my questions were sent. So I should be seeing those by Tuesday next, which is when the list of incoming documents usually gets sent out to members of parliament. So once I get those, I will, of course, share what they were on the following stream when we have it, which might not be next Sunday because we had to shuffle some campaign events this weekend in light of what happened this week. And then on Wednesday, the 17th of July, we had the continuation of the VRAMI committee meeting, discussion on the TNO report entitled The Energy Transition in Aruba, Curacao, and St. Maarten. That was Patrice's second time in Parliament as Min VRAMI. He provided clarifications on the court case that was mentioned previously, basically explaining that in any legal battle, you are still the client, and even if here how it works with government, as was explained by the minister, your lawyer is who has to go to represent government. However, this particular court case was directly against the Minister of Rami. So it wasn't the Landsadvocaat, the country's lawyer, that was meant to go. It was, of course, just the lawyer that was being used for that particular ministry. And that individual did not show up, hence, yeah. But it still counts as the client not showing up. So even if ministers don't typically go to court, it still reflects as you did not show up for court. Anyway, and then Patrice, I think, the minister then answered, sorry, the Longley's question about Maho. And basically, hey, buddy, cat. Basically, he answered that question, and then afterwards, the former minister went on a show and essentially kind of repeated the incorrect information. So the answer was given. So what happened with Maho was just a renewal of what is already there. There was no new issuance, nothing like that. So there was no legal battle to consider or anything like that when when moving forward. So definitely something that I wanted to clarify here as well. Considering I don't like misinformation, especially when it's purposely given out, even when you get the right answer. And then on the 19th of July, on Friday, we had a meeting with the Minister of Justice, Mr. Lyndon Lewis. Of course, that was a meeting that was previously scheduled for the previous Friday, but it ended up being postponed at the request of the minister. And then what we had was, what happened last week. And then, of course, it became an even bigger topic on the increase in gun violence that we're seeing happening on St. Maarten. So in that meeting, several MPs asked questions to the minister. My main questions focused on, what has been done in terms of campaigns to provide amnesty for persons that want to hand back in their gun. And then on top of that, amnesty programs for that. And then just generally any type of plan to maybe create checkpoints where you stop persons in neighborhoods where you feel these legal guns might be prevalent. So I asked the minister that. And I also asked what is in plan for stricter election day guidelines. You have this incident that happened last week where the individual involved is stating that it was politically motivated, is calling the names of political leaders as if, they had something to do with it. So you create this environment of what could happen on election day. Now, we've advocated as a faction be better guidelines and controls around polling stations. January was nuts, and I asked the minister, what is going to be put in place to prevent something that happened in Belvedere from happening again. And Belvedere again is the biggest polling station for this upcoming snap election. And on top of that, it's just very concerning to me what's going to be done to protect voters primarily, as well as candidates from different parties. I look forward at Parliament. So we are, as I said, we are on recess. The Presidium right now, we are discussing, I think the last pending meeting that we had that was postponed on Wednesday was the ENYA meeting. That is, of course, a pretty important one. So I believe that we will probably have, we'll probably have the ENYA meeting. I'm not sure if we're going to have it again, but the other urgent thing that might pop up for Parliament is the budget amendment meeting. And that is supposed to be on its way so that we can plan that and get that out of the way. And in terms of political updates, the thing that is on everybody's mind recently, of course, is the incident that happened on the night of Wednesday, July 17th. Yeah, I know. I get it. I didn't like it either. 1 second. There you go. Yeah. This is why I go to my office. So basically, there was a shooting that involved one of the new leaders of one of the new political parties. And unfortunately, their partner also was involved and passed away. So basically, the individual, as I mentioned, has been saying that it's politically motivated. Some names were called that night, and of political leaders, which is a very difficult thing to talk about because I've also been a target of this individual's hate speech, which they have been spewing since last year. To the point where it had persons, educated persons, at least that I thought of, that were questioning whether or not I and my party were trying to indoctrinate or convert children to the LGBT lifestyle. I've given an explanation about that already on the Super Duper Morning Show in a late interview last campaign. And I will be doing further discussions about why I advocate for comprehensive sex education in schools, because that's where it started from. Comprehensive sex education, it lets kids know how to protect themselves. Uh, as someone who went to school and very much had to deal with the whole boys will be boys attitude of first grade and second grade, third, fourth, whatever age, pinning girls down on the playground, trying to kiss them and stuff like that was happening when I was a kid. And now, we've been told that the AIDS Foundation does a bit of more educational work, and the statistics are very disturbing. So that person took what I said, which is literally aimed to help St. Martin kids of all ages be able to protect themselves and be able to know what is right and what is wrong when it comes to how persons, whether they're peers or adults, engage with them, and turned it into a hate campaign. That's what it is. So it's tough for me to talk about this scenario and not feel like, well, there was a lot of hate speech being thrown at myself, at my party. No one really spoke up about it. I've seen a very brilliant piece written by a young Samatna about how we got here, because this is who we are. And I think that's a very sad point for us to come to. And that justice meeting was very emotional as a result of this and of what has happened. It, yeah, it, it definitely hurt a lot to hear what was being said last year and to see screenshots of the groups with numbers that I know who they belong to and I know those people. So it's also made me look a little sideways at persons that smile in my face and would say such nasty things in those group chats. So it's a bit of a reckoning for me to see that, wow, we are not as evolved a country as I thought we were. In fact, we're pretty back there. But nevertheless, what has happened, I think, is being caught up because the person in question is saying it's politically motivated, but there is no evidence to say that that is what it is. I think that, to say that and then to call names of persons is that you are now calling for political violence. I don't view what occurred as that. I think that, there's a lot of different statements going around from different camps trying to cast it as that. But I don't, I listen to some of and I'm just going to wait for justice to actually, take its course. I think that we just have to leave that to the police and whatever help that they are receiving, and let that come to light, actually. So moving on from that, I also have to say that connected to this and connected to the hate speech that this individual was circulating last year via WhatsApp primarily and other forms of social media, we have a draft criminal procedure code sitting in Parliament that contains certain elements that would make the investigation and prosecution of digital issues such as this a lot easier. So I think it's worth it for us to go back to that and also to begin really adopting, not just talking about it. We've looked at it as a faction, but adopting existing cybersecurity, cyber crime laws that exist within the kingdom and adapting them down to our reality. For example, in most countries, bigger countries, if you are posting from a fake Facebook page, looking at you guys from the other two camps of the two bigger parties, um, the police and or any other law enforcement agency could hit up Facebook or hit up Google and say, hey, what's this person's IP address? And then you got yourself a problem. And I think that if we were to enter into the modern world and actually update our legislation, which is definitely my focus, if I'm blessed with an actual full term, I guess, because this was technically my second term, but now It's going to be a third term. It's weird. Um, so basically, I think that that's definitely going to be my focus if I'm blessed with a third or a 2.5 term in Parliament after August 19th, to basically bring us into the future, because all across the Caribbean, this is a problem. I've heard other leaders in the region speak about it, but not getting to a point where, it is actually hate speech, guys. And I want to make that abundantly clear. But we will see what happens come August 19th. I just urge everyone to continue to remain calm. And I've seen as well, I also think it's very disingenuous to see all of these calls for no violence very loudly, and I also kind of take offense to it being painted as well because this person spoke out against corruption. This is why that happened. We as a faction and a party has been speaking out against corruption for 4+ years, and nothing like this has ever happened. So I think look at the the messenger matters is what I'm saying. Aside from that, local news, the Corona project, which is something that I'm, of course, very happy got sorted via the Ministry of Rami with the Nature Foundation. So further protections then, and research and extension of what is already there for the Coastal Resilience Project. So making sure that our reefs and everything that makes them fabulous is well maintained and well protected. Um, and then aside from that, one second. Yeah. Aside from that, I also want to send my condolences to the family of Anguilla's shooting victim, because the update from in the Daily Herald was that that individual passed away from their injuries as well. So definitely very concerning what is happening on both these little islands, Anguilla, of course, being the littler one. And then some good news, the SZV policy, I saw that announcement was delayed. So director majority shareholders can maintain their SZV insurance after the 1st of September. That was a very confusing rollout. I was getting messages galore about it, of course. So it was very, yeah, very happy to see that it's going to be delayed so that we don't have a lot of angry directors on our hands. And the other big piece of news, as Cassian loses his mind, the other big piece of news this last week was, of course, the global IT outage. I know St. Martiners who were caught up in the mix, who had their flights canceled, who were unable to leave the island or had to go via, whether it was by Frontier or some other airline that could fly. And it was all due to a faulty software update pushed through at CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity company, and it basically took down the operational functionality of airlines, banks, hospitals, other major infrastructure entities across the globe. Marvio Cooks, our candidate number 6, did a great breakdown and discussion of what happened, and I believe that link should be in the description, so you can go rewatch that live on his Facebook page and see yes, basically hear what he said and how he explained it. Because a lot of people were like, oh my God, it's a cyber attack, blah, blah, blah. It was literally that someone pushed an update that had a fault, and the update just said, no, absolutely not. So yeah, so that was a little interesting to know that, even something as simple as you see an update and you're like, okay, update. But I think, one part of also knowing the technology that you hold in your hands or that you have in front of you on your laptop or so is also to know that usually if something starts to go wonky, and this is of course at a very smaller scale, it's the last update, and you should try to roll back to a previous version so that you can actually use your device again. And then they usually issue a patch, but this was not a regular update and patch situation. This was pretty bad. But hopefully things are recovering by now. And of course, what happened today in other countries' politics is that President Joe Biden stepped out of the race to be the Democratic presidential nominee for the upcoming elections. So he did that, and then he endorsed his vice president, Kamala Harris. And what that means is now Kamala has a breakneck. Well, hopefully she wins the nomination. I personally think it would be very silly if she didn't. It's not like there's a lot of time left to get to a lot of time left to get to a point where you can build up a new person who's largely not known to the nation on a whole. They may be known in their state, but not, to the country. So it's a little tough to do that now at this late stage. So I'm hoping that they follow that strategy. And yeah, then that would mean that she would have a breakneck campaign until November, I believe, which is when the U.S. Presidential election will be taking place. The Democratic National Convention, I think, is on August 19th, which is our election day. So as our results start to come in, I guess their convention will start, and we'll see if they see sense or if they actually do not. Other than that, folks, it is still hurricane season, and as we rapidly approach the peak of it, I'm still urging everyone to continue monitoring the Atlantic whenever you can. Continue collecting your dry and non-perishable foods and goods. Stack your water, and get any lamps, lanterns, etc. I myself got some solar lanterns ordered in, and I can provide a link if anybody knows. When I pick them up, I'll take pics, and then if you want them, you can hit me up. We are also going to be, I wanted to have it ready for now, but we're still making some tweaks to it. So Projects for Progress is going to be putting out a vulnerable persons database. This is building off of an existing concept that had been used after the passing of Hurricane Irma. Myself and Marvio were using what was built actually by friends of mine in the Netherlands, just a giant spreadsheet to find persons that needed aid. And we also used that same list during the time of COVID. For persons that maybe could not move about as freely as a member of parliament and needed groceries or anything of the sort. So this is mainly going to be in the event that there is a major storm event. Like I said, we're approaching the peak. It's been quiet since Beryl, but of course I never let a quiet July fool me, because we know August and September is where it's at. So yeah, with that in mind, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the PFP channel to be notified of new videos, and also follow our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, and join our WhatsApp community for all PFP updates. We will be resuming interviews, etc. this week as well. We did a bit of a pause with what was meant to be our family fun day in the St. Peter's area, so we'll be rescheduling that up hopefully for next week Sunday, which is why there might not be a live, but we'll confirm that, of course, via all those channels that I just mentioned. So I want to thank everyone as well for their patience as I explore StreamYard. It's quite cool, but I will definitely have to tweak it a bit. And next time I will have to make sure that the cat is a little more relaxed. Or maybe he has things he wants to tell you guys, like be nice to animals and adopt a kitten. You can find one at any of the vets on the island. That was him just endorsing that message. So thank you again, and until next time.